Great, thank you very much. Greetings to everybody. How is everybody doing today? Please, how are you?
Hello.
Well.
To be here this morning, this afternoon, and I hope that you can hear me clearly because at some point in time, some of the other presenters, I was having a little difficulties hearing. I'm going to try to do my best to continue and bring in that spirit and that energy of this African place that we are in. I would like to definitely greet the elders that are in the room, His Highness, and to our esteemed elders, greetings to you all. What I'm going to be talking about today is a very interesting topic. I mean, again, this is our 5th annual African Spirituality Conference, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about African spirituality and energy, as it pertains specifically to the Yoruba faith and tradition. The thing that I think is very, very important for us is to talk about energy, and energy as it would stand. So I'm thankful first for those who that see me and accept me. I'm thankful for the ones who were assigned to feed my spirit and to enrich my path. I'm thankful for those who water me as I water them. I'm thankful for the purposefulness of the divine and the supportive connection that I have made in my life. I'm thankful for my teachers, and I'm thankful for the amount of energy that have poured into my brain and the amount of blessings that I have received. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for all of my students, because it is an African proverb that says that if we teach one, 2 are learning. Mm-hmm. So what is energy? We're having this feedback. I'm not sure what that is, Doc. We have the energy is the capacity and the power to work. The source of the capacity to remove objects may be in our way in the application of force. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it's in that external energy that we're dealing with that we have various types of electrical, thermal energy, we have chemical energy, we have nuclear energy, gravitational pull, sound waves, and of course, all of these classify energy. As it pertains to Yoruba concept, most people are familiar with the word Ashe. Everybody is familiar with that word, Ashe?
Yes.
Ashe. So Ashe, of course, is the concept of energy that refers to energy in the Yoruba concept of the dynamic force that permeates all our being, the ability to make things happen, to make things be. It is the invisible force that at times can be static, and that also, at the same time, cannot be seen, but can be felt. So the energy of this power, this source of Ashe, is endowed with all of the Orisha and within ourselves. According to Babatunde Alagbede, he said that that Ashe is generated by a supreme being called Oluwole, the eternal, or Oluwole, the owner of the sky, or Alashe, the divine power, the source of a being. Olojumore's power, or the Ashe, makes things happen in the Yoruba universe, changing the material from one state to another, enabling the sun to shine, the moon to be heightened in the sky, the wind to blow, and giving form to the formless, motion to the motionless, and life to all things. The living, intangible spheres of the heaven, the masculine qualities that represent the sky, the invisible spirit that is also the feminine tangible, containing the bearing of waters, and the physical world that these two hemispheres are coming together to create this power, this force that keeps us suspended in space. The comparison of light and dark, the masculine and the feminine, the down and the up and the down and around and the about. the connectivity of all the forces of the universe in the array of colors and vibrations. It is that thought that helps us to have the lessons of the world, that we realize that we are connected to the higher energy through our ashe, through our power, through our voice, through every part of our being. We're connected to this source. And that there is a connectivity of everything, the same way all the parts of our body are connected in this wonderful web that we learned that there was 144 today, different mediums and chakras. And as the Queen Mother said a little while ago, let us, come together and heal so that we can, and let us be honest in that healing. So it's with this whole balance that I begin to start to thinking and wondering about the energy and the forces that are there, and what is energy and how do we use this ashe, this power, this divine essential force that is streams from everything in the invisible realm. How do we use it? And how do we get in contact? As the light, as the dark, and the different ways that we look at it is the same way that we look at our hand. People, and sometimes we want to separate the light from the dark, but it's no different than we looking at our hand. We cannot separate the light of our hand from the back of our hand, or the light and the dark. Go synonymous. They create this synergy and this wonderful symposium of balance of connection of both the yin and the yang, and the dark and the light, the hard and the soft, the dundu, which is the black in Yoruba, funfun, which is the white in Yoruba. It creates the synergy that comes together. And when we have the same effect is possible, well, in that, we begin to look at the energy worlds of good and bad. There's good and bad in all of those things. And we begin to look at the spirit, the soul, and the body, and how all the different aspects of our being come together. As above, so below, the interwoven kind of sense of the intellectual spheres of our being, that we begin to wonder, how is the spirit, the soul, and all of these three spheres connected? Is inducted with metaphysical force, spirit, energy, that we all are a part. And so as above, so below. Here is a sphere of the outer space, looking out of space and into the wonderment of the outer space. And similarly, a thumbprint. That we are a mini universe into ourselves. So we want to begin to take in the energy of the Orisha. And so we need to know our position, our power, our energy, our abilities. We need to know as we begin to investigate our African spirituality and our energy. The one force that is very, very permanent is to be able to be grounded within our information, grounded and centered within all of what we as Africans need to invest and embrace. Be grounded so that as deep as we go, is as high as we begin to shine. This palm tree is a symbol of Obatala, one of the Orisha. And I will go into details a little bit about that, but I want to talk about the spiritual head, the Ori. That which we take in our breath. Everybody taking a deep breath. Hold it. You know that the vibration of the Ori, the brain is the energizer, it is the generator. And this symbol that we have here is of the spiritual head, which in Yoruba we call the Ori. The brain is the electromagnetic It has power and infuse the soul, the spirit, and the body. And it opens up and navigates and propels through life into different planes, as well as the cosmic life that we are here existing in, that we call at the base of the spine, as it goes and travels up into the everlasting force of the brain. In Yoruba, we call the top of the crown Aare, and then we have Ide, Emu, in the back, Ogun, Enu, that which is inside of our belly, Baba, the right foot, big toe, Yeye, the left foot, the big toe. And this is where our ancestral memories are stored. So when we're covering the human being and talking about us as human beings, the average human being has anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. I guess if you're lucky. And those thoughts, 80% of all the thoughts that we are thinking, turn out to be negative. Right now, we need to begin to embrace and change our narratives and embrace the positivity of our lives in some ways by creating a positive narrative, a place of change and action where I can, I will, I'm doing. And you start taking these words into the respect of yourself and using the breath to be able to dictate and to manage and to get well done those things which we need to introduce so that we do not live in a life of mediocrity. Isn't the whole purpose of really embracing African spirituality, Africanness, is to return us to a space of wholeness, of completeness, of where we're able to do, can be, to shine, to be bright? Doing these things will help us by taking and moving these things into our thinking, paying attention to the holes that we have in our body, looking inside of our head, looking into those holes, but especially the one of our mouth, the source and our nose, where the source of that radiant air comes in. And of course, our mouth, where 90%, where we get all our foods. We have to be careful. Do you know that the food that's in the supermarket today, just 80 years ago, 80% of those foods weren't even around. That's just how horrific when we go to supermarkets. Food is so very vital, important for our engineering. Much of what is being now called as food is actually engineered forces. And so it's very, very vital for us to take our vital force and our energy in is through our eating and through our breath. And that also the importance of sound in the brain and in the mind and upper chambers of our being, that is say that if we use sound and humming as an external way, we will then increase our ability to resist disease by 15% just by humming, putting a hum underneath the forces that you do and you take in, helps to increase our vitality, our resistance to disease, and to harmonize our soul. Similar to like the bowls do. When you get into that bowl and you're vibrating at a higher frequency. So it's that frequencies that we want to tap into, those higher frequencies. Much of what we have learned about breathing and techniques and humming, most of what I've learned, I've mainly come in contact with that through the Indian, East Indian, Brahmin kind of information. But as it begins to go on, there are certain words like Ogago, or using our own Orisha and our Netara, our Guru, our Bosums, all of them to use and use their names as vital ways of being able to tap into energy and force to create things of change of what we need to happen. So if I need my roads opening, why wouldn't I call Eshu? Or I need clearance by calling on the force of Ogun. Ogunye, Moye, Ogunye, Moye. Or calling Hepa, Loisha, Loisha, Matala. And so there are many calls to the Orisha. And it's my thought and my presentation today that we need to utilize for the ills and the sicknesses and the things that were going on in our own personal lives is to embrace the names and to vibrate those names as ways of incantation, mantras, or places where they are repeated to be able to open up forces and to bring about change in our life. The Ori is a very, very pivotal part and central in being able to connect with the outer space and the realms of what we call Orisha. The Godhead, the spiritual head. That spiritual head, of course, also has an alignment between the mouth, the nose, the ears. And we use coconut. We use shea butter, honey. We use other type of instruments, fishes and rats, and all different type of energy to stimulate the head, to awaken the head. There is the ceremony that you go through when you become an initiated priest. The primary forces are done on the head. Why? Because the head leads the body. The head is able to take in all the vital forces and stimulates the action in our body. After the Ori, there's a sense of what we call the spiritual table. And there's also Advent. But of them, I want to talk about the spiritual table and talk about the ancestors. Because we say, that there is no spiritual head, or no deity that doesn't bless one. First with the ones Ori, and then by the use and the contact to their ancestors. And so the ancestors, they give support according to how we worship and how we placate to them and give to them. The ancestors are energy of a living day comprised of a compassionate spirit within our blood related, who have passed down their realm of Ashe to us in a continued way, and we should continue every day give praise to our ancestors, give the fulfillment of our departed, powerful fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers and aunts, uncles and cousins, and those spirits that have crossed over to the other side, the medium between the living and the unseen realm, where God and all are considered, the realm that we venerate, the realm that we supplicate, the place by which action comes, and by which the energy of the ancestors of the traditional bring the pillars of our universe together. They are able to do things that nobody else is able to do. They bring our blessings to us. Give them a shot. Give them a chance. Bring them positivity, bring them energy, bring them force from inside your gut. Because the second head is your belly. The first head and second head. And so much of our vital force and energy is held within the gut. And that same type of magma, or that type of force that's in there, is the same kind of mushy fat that is inside the brain. So we have to be able to do rituals and to do practices that enlist the energy to wake them up to the source of communication, that we can depend on them and to help us to move forward. The next is deity, which I think is very, very important, because I'm going to be discussing about Obi, the ancestors, and Egbe, and one other. But the Egbe is something that many of us may not be familiar with. It is something that has become to, was not something that was transferred over into the, as the Middle Passage, it seemed to have been lost. We had some loss, but we're able to regain now and find out information about this powerful source called Egbe. So I offer you this. The energy and the power that we use to proclaim, to give to the Egbe, we give them candy, we give them sugar, sweet things, and we give these new things. Egbe is very unique in its system in that it's considered to be the comrades in heaven. And they're the mirroring between the natural world and the spiritual world. One's personal double. As above, as below, as I've been saying, is the two most important things that are happening. There are a magnetic vibration, so to speak, between the upper realm and the lower realm. That the positive and negative have this intangible or that they look at happening at the same time. That means somewhere in heaven, someone is looking like me. That is not my biological double, but my spiritual double in heaven, talking to you the same way that I'm talking to you. And you're in the audience somewhere, receiving that information, not here only, but there in the heavens above. And so this idea of creating this synonymous sense of health between the head and the ancestors and our Egbe is what I'm offering you today to take a look at, to go further, to investigate, to wonder, to see how this experience of identical doubles and the spiritual nexus, the soulmate by which our ancestral friends, our counterparts, our cosmic comparisons, perhaps the shadow self, whatever you might want to call it, the relationship, this symbiotic relationship between our spirits and those in heaven. They give us dreams, vivid dreams, emotional connection, soul presence, reminders. Oftentimes we come into a room and we see somebody and say, man, you look so familiar to me. Do I know you? Haven't I met you somewhere before? You look familiar. Sometimes you say, sometimes you don't, but you feel it, the presence between people. Because why? Our spirit is also experiencing many levels of this type of, we might want to call it extraterrestrial kind of vibrational thing. It is happening now, and it's happening then. And what I like to think of it is as if simultaneous time. That time is happening here and there at the same time. But I also offer you that it may be happening on 11 different realms of existence. And that there might not only be one shadow self. There might not be only one you in the universe. Even though there might be somebody that looks like you here today. It's not you. But there is you, and many senses of you, outside of this world. So now, if you believe that you have all of these cells, how do we bring them together and expand our belief and our powerful? Then it also lends itself to say that you, each one, are very powerful in yourself. Because it's not only you that is there, it's many yous. And how do you bring them together? It's through propitiation. It's through atonement. It's through laying offerings, of sweet offerings next to one's bed. Candy, fruits. To recognizing that you are not just you in this universe. And that the connectivity of all these different cells can come together. It's like looking through that looking glass. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the best? looking at yourself? Because a mirror is for two things. A mirror is to look and bring, but the obvious thing is to do what? A mirror is for what? Somebody?
Reflection.
Reflection. But the other thing is a mirror does, it makes correction. You look into the mirror and then you make a correction. My hat isn't leaning the way I want it to lean. My cloth is falling over to the side. I want to make it right there. It is that type of interplay that you begin to see. So it is these frequencies of high and low. And there is some things that we can basically tell you that sometimes we have people who have excessive linkages to what we call head. And most of the time we find them, sometimes we find them with children. And we find them with consisting bedwetting. Sometimes we find them very stubborn. Sometimes we find them with excessive use of candy, hiding candy in their pockets, going to different things. This is when the egg is overactive. And we need to placate them. And the last of the spiritual next, Aare in Yoruba concepts, Aare Oloko, which is commonly called Aare Oloko, has a very, very powerful force in bringing about wealth. You know, wealth in our lives is not only measured by money. Wealth is measured by longevity. Wealth is measured also by the amount of children that we have, a wife, and all of those things. But the trueness of our wealth exists within our head. So the Aare is the deity of wealth and commerce and prosperity. Aare is the great woman who helps the owners and be able to seek our prosperity. She's the daughter of a local, and we supplicate her and give her service on Mondays. And so she provides us with the substance of wealth in our lives. And she, a local, the daughter of a local, the only daughter, is thought to be very, very well respected. Because it is beyond this that we begin to look into having supplications to this idea called Aare, that we begin to take in goodness in our lives. Because what are we here for? To have blessings of money, blessings of children, blessings of camaraderie, family, of happiness, of smiling. How do we embrace these good things? Well, let us first connect with our owners. Let us connect with our internal, our spiritual head, ourselves. Then how do we connect? We connect with our ancestors. Those who connect us to the Mother Earth, their Mother Earth. How do we connect with the source and grounded with our ancestral mothers and fathers? And how then we move forward to deal with our shadow selves, the parts of ourselves that then play tricks on ourselves, our egg. And lastly, let us enjoy the fruits of our labor. Let us not come into the world and not have something to show for it. Let us not leave a mark. Let us not walk in the world like we're stepping in water. Let us step on the earth, or let's step in sand and leave a footprint by which somebody can come behind us and follow. This is what I offer you today. My name is Chief Oluwole. I bring greetings from South Carolina, from Oyotunji Village, as well as from my shrine house, Omo, from those of Nigeria. And I hope that you could find some way, something to take away from that which I've left with you today. I hope that today continues to be a day of enrichment and a day of joy and a day of a source of great information that you will take and share with your community. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh.